Okay, we are live.
Hey, welcome everybody. We're hanging out here at Hack Shack Studios. We are going to do a versus episode where we basically take two fan favorite items, topics, and we pit them against each other. So today we are going to do Battle Angel versus Captain Marvel. And I should back up a little bit and introduce myself. I'm RT Bear, 35 years in this comic book industry, mainly DC Marvel. Characters such as Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, mostly known for X-Men. And with me, as always, is the wonderfully talented Taylor Grasso.
Thank you, Art. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the chat. I will be reading your comments if you want to go ahead and join the conversation. We got a couple people in here. Rhaegar says, "Oh boy."
Oh boy. Well, you guys are in for a treat. We have Keung Lee. We have a special guest today, and he's hanging out here at Hack Shack Studios with us. So, hey, Keung.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem, no problem. So we had some technical difficulties, and Keung Lee lives very close by, and so he's a very cool guy and came
I'm
by.
tech support.
He's tech support. Came by to help us, so we thought, hey, let's do a live stream while we're all here. So we'll probably do this a couple more times. You think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But if this is fan favorites, I can already tell you who the winner is.
The verses, yeah. But I mean, the main thing is I wanted to do this because I want to trumpet Battle Angel. We kind of already know where it's going to go, but I really want everybody to go out and see this movie. I think there's a lot of bad press coming from a certain side. The more left side, I guess, and it feels almost like it is a conspiracy that they're kind of playing this movie down and really supporting Captain Marvel, and I find it very interesting, and that's one of the things I really wanted to talk about, and then just kind of, I guess, loosely disguise it as a versus.
Sure. I mean, let us know in the chat which character or movie you would favor.
Yes, and if you don't know, Keung Lee has a book right now in Indiegogo. It's in the store, in the shop, right?
It's in demand right now.
Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb, and it's a brilliant book, and it kind of follows the anime.
Oh, definitely manga, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Similar genre.
Yeah. Where do you guys chime in on the anime or anime?
Anime, I mean, it's short for animation. I remember when we were calling it Japanimation.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, could you imagine doing that nowadays? You get crucified.
Oh yeah. Cultural appropriation.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, but I remember I was talking to some. He was really into. Actually, it was a she. Really into anime or I just say
Just anime.
Just anime. Yeah. And so. She's like, no, it's anime.
Oh, I find that so obnoxious. No offense to people that do that, but
yeah, it's like
I used to be one of those people, and that's why
I was too.
It bugs me so much now.
Okay, so let's get it straight. Okay, this is okay for this chat. We gotta set this straight. So what is it actually?
Anime.
Yeah,
it's just anime.
Well, basically, in the Japanese language, they like to condense the words down as simply as possible. And so, like, for instance, there's a really popular series out there called Kantai Collection. They call it Kankole because they don't want to say Kantai Collection every time. Okay. And so, as far as animation is concerned, it just became anime.
I remember in high school,
that's easy to remember.
Yeah. Every little, nerdy girls into be would call it anime, and it was the most annoying thing on earth.
Yeah.
Because they're really trying hard to stress it.
I've been schooled more often than not.
Yeah, they get very militant about it.
I'm a little gun shy right now.
James in the chat says, which I think this is very, very diplomatic, very fair. He says, I can't comment until I see Captain Marvel, but the press propaganda leads me to support a robot that's more female than Brie Larson.
And less robotic.
And somehow more expressive,
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, most of this was just to try to shine some more light on Alita, Battle Angel, because Taylor and I saw it. You haven't seen it still, right?
No, not yet. Yeah. Andrew's going to kill me.
Oh, really?
He's pushing it harder than his own book.
Yeah. He is. He's pushing that.
Oh, yeah.
And I told him, I said, if you weren't like trumpeting this movie, I probably wouldn't have seen it. I wouldn't have gone out to see it because the eyes, they just kind of threw me at first. The trailer.
Definitely.
And the original trailer didn't really show any of the cool stuff, like her fighting and those hunter killers. When she fights those hunter killers, I think it's in the new trailer because they have a new trailer out.
Yeah.
I would have definitely, got past the eyes in a heartbeat, but they didn't really give me anything else to latch onto. So the new trailer is definitely marketing it better, and then Andrew, definitely sold it for me because I'm a big fan of the comic book.
We just got a super chat from Pope Fire, once again trying to steer the conversation. Pope Fire says, Starfire would win. What was the question?
Of course she would. And she'd have more compassion than all of them. And for the record, Starfire's left-handed.
Ooh.
Yeah. This was the big controversy, wasn't it?
The debate.
Yeah, was it not? I think she went all the way to George Perez to get that bit of information.
I think she did. She was fighting for that info. I don't know why it was important, but now we know.
Yeah. So, should we get into some of the articles? And,
So we got a few articles to read. These are going to be interesting.
You're starting with the best one.
Yeah, this is the one that I think you guys will find interesting here. So, this is from BTR Today. Battle Angel, oh no. Let's see. Alita Battle Angel isn't the feminist blockbuster you're looking for.
Well, good.
This was written by, they don't know their name, but Taya Handlin, which doesn't sound real. But if it is, thanks for the article, Taya. Girl power is so hot right now.
It's true.
The new trailer for Alita Battle Angel emphasizes more girl power than the teaser trailer released back in December.
Doesn't your book has a strong female in it, right?
BNKB, of course. Yeah.
Yes. And wait, so it's black and white, right?
That's true.
Oh, girl power. I agree.
And aren't they both, they're both, I was going to say they're both POC,
but they are not BTR.
They are not BTR. Beat the rounds. I don't know what it stands for. The new trailer focuses more on the female protagonist in action than a distressed damsel in love, which I would argue the first one didn't. Where do you guys fall on that? While the changes seem like something feminists might applaud, it's no less informed by the male gaze. It's just that the men making Alita like hot girls who fight.
Don't all guys like hot girls who fight?
I don't know. I guess I was gonna say hot guys that fight, but I like that too.
Yeah, sure.
I think those Marvel guys are pretty attractive, right?
Yeah, that's a valid point. I think audiences just like seeing hot people do things.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's really weird to be like, oh, the male gaze, because we were talking about before we went on air, like, I don't know, is this an idealized female? It's just a chick with robot arms with a t-shirt and jeans. I don't think she's overly sexualized.
It's also a coming of age story, so the romance and stuff is fairly innocent. It's kind of like puppy love stuff. You know what I mean? It's not
lusty,
like more mature, relationship. It kind of, she starts learning about a more mature relationship and what true love is, but it doesn't start out that way, and it doesn't overly get into that either.
D. Geekart says, why can't women be tough and cute?
Yeah, I'd say at best that she's cute, but I wouldn't say like male gaze, like we're like, ooh.
There's not really a scene, I know that like the male gaze, that's a whole other topic, but like, there's not really a male gaze scene in the movie anyway, so that's not even relevant.
I heard on one of these YouTube rundowns where they were reviewing the movie and the controversy, and they were saying there's a scene where the camera pans down on her new body. Okay. And I'm like, isn't there a scene like that in Captain America? Like, isn't there a scene like that with Thor? Isn't there like numerous scenes with Chris Hemsworth?
It's not even like, it's all the context that the viewer brings to it, because all you're doing is presenting a subject matter to the viewer, and if the subject is that she has this new cyborg body, what are you going to have, a brief scene just snapping to it in a way?
Well, you know what? I'm going to go back to what was it? Was it Batman Forever with
Yes.
the nipples?
Oh yeah.
You talk about gratuitous, man. It's like the camera's moving down, the camera's panning around, the camera's closing in on the nipples. There's even a crotch shot in that
Oh, yeah.
movie.
That thing has a huge bulge.
Yeah, he's got that cod piece and stuff. Like, come on, man. Like this isn't like we're choosing one side here. I think if you look at it in a fair way, you'll see equal on both sides. And I remember this was a writer friend of mine, and I love her dearly, right? But she gets caught up in some of these debates, and she's like, all the women in superhero comics are all drawn naked. And I said, and all the men in superhero comics are drawn naked. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, basically, those suits are skin tight. You're drawing the basic form nude.
Yeah.
And you're just drawing different emblems on their chest. At least old school superheroes were always that way.
And you're using spot blacks to kind of show that there's texture there. It's not skin.
Right, and then sometimes there's pouches, or there's other parts of their costume, a cape, different things. But mostly, yeah, it is that. And if it's sexist, then why does it go both ways? The guys are just as sexualized in those comics as the women are. And until my friend worked on Alpha Flight, remember when North Star came out of the closet?
That's right.
My friend Mark Pacella worked on that, and also Scott was the writer on it. And yeah, I had no idea there was that kind of homosexual audience.
There's a community,
in comics,
yeah.
and how much they rallied and supported that, and that do read these books. So if there is any kind of there are women that are reading these books and looking at the men, and there's also homosexual men that are looking at the men, in the same way that they're accusing a guy of looking at a hot chick in a comic.
I think the bottom line is the idealized form of the human body is something that everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, is something that they want to that's pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
And it's something we all kind of like to look at. It's unfortunate that today we have this guilt. You have to be guilty.
Yeah, you can't just enjoy something and it can't be matter of fact. And the thing is, masters have been painting what they thought was the perfect form since the very beginning. And so Hollywood has exploited these things, because why would you want to watch a 2-hour movie if it was just the person next door to you? You know what I mean? Like, if it's not somebody that's somebody you don't see often, somebody that you find very attractive, somebody who you want to go on this journey with for 2 hours. If you can't create that, if it's the frumpy guy or girl next door, why do you want to, you know what I mean? You can just go hang out with those people, that is your life.
There's a comment I want to read that applies to this, but I think you're right, because the thing is, film is obviously a visual medium, and a lot of the one scene, whenever people argue about the male gaze, that they always say is they always cite that famous scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where the hot chick's coming out of the water.
Was it Phoebe Cates?
And here's the thing. The reason it's all visual storytelling, so like you say, you want interesting visuals, you want attractive people. The reason that scene pans over her is that the scene is from the point of view of the male character that thinks that she's hot. So they're trying to put you in the mindset of that character. It's all done in a purposeful nature. So whenever there's scenes like that, it's usually not just some kind of arbitrary thing. You know what I mean?
And also, that scene is a fantasy.
Yeah, so
it's not happening in real time in the story. It's not like she's doing that.
They're putting you in his headspace.
Right. He is sexualizing her so he can get off.
And
but that's also it's just a reality, right?
The scene is successful because it puts you in that place.
Yeah, and that's what young guys do.
Comic Book Bob says, male gaze my ass. Hell, if anything, there's more of a female gaze to that shirtless scene with Hugo. Yeah, that was kind of forced and weird.
That's right. Yeah, there's that. Oh my gosh, there's that scene, right? Where he gets out of bed. She gets out of bed.
Yeah.
She creepily
stares at him.
She's in the window, right? She just kind of walks in on him.
And he's sleeping with his boots and his pants on, but he has no shirt. Yeah, it's a very equal footing thing, I think, in most movies. Like you said, Like the scene in the last Thor movie where he's randomly getting bathed and wakes up. That was weird. Let's see.
Weird or hot?
Let's see.
Taylor thought it was hot.
No comments. What are you guys talking about? Battle Angel from Alita.
From Alita.
Okay, so let's keep reading this. The added girl power isn't the only noticeable change. In the new trailer for producer James Cameron, Avatar, Titanic, like you don't know who he is, and director Robert Rodriguez' cyberpunk action flick, the female cyborg's creepily huge doe eyes have been scaled back to a slightly less creepy huge.
It says creepy and then says doe, which is an aesthetic that people like. Yeah.
Also, they use creepily twice in one sentence. Anyway, instead of Alita telling her love interest, "I'd do whatever I had to for you," we see an additional scene of her in combat. And then this is really weird to put as a writer. I'm not mad about. So you're mad about something?
Yeah. Whenever you preface it with that, yeah.
I'm not mad about the tonal shift in the trailer, but I am hesitant to praise Cameron and Rodriguez for the changes. Sure, women in action is better than women having action done to them by men. I don't... What does that mean?
Oh, you guys, when we first read this, you should have heard us all laugh so hard and out loud.
I mean, you want an active protagonist, but I can't even comment on that.
Action done to you. They make it sound like she's a victim. It's just the way it's phrased and the way it's written.
It's weird.
We know what she's... This is a woman, right? We know what she's trying to say, but she's obviously trying to skew it into some kind of agenda.
Definitely. The other thing that's weird is that she says the whole thing reeks of the male gaze. I don't think you can say that this actually reeks of the male gaze so much as a male more demographic. And that's just natural because it's an action movie. You know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference in something being the male gaze as you present it here and just being probably something that more guys would naturally want to see than the typical girl. Is that fair to say?
Maybe, but I've never even met these people that they're saying exist, because my wife will watch Mel Gibson movies in the day, or the other action adventures of the time, and usually they're male leads. But then we can go and watch Aliens. We can watch the Terminator movies and equally get the same amount of joy out of those movies, whether it is male or female. So in this household, we never made a distinction. We only base things based on if it's a good movie or not, if you enjoyed the 2-hour adventure or not. And that's really all we should be basing these things on as well. The thing is, if you support these movies, there will be more movies like these.
Well, if you think about it, it's very strange that they seem to be so concerned that guys seem to be enjoying this. It's like, we don't want it's like they're trying
What a crime.
What a crime for any male to gaze upon this protagonist that is attractive. It's such a crime.
How dare you find a product appealing?
There are $1 million ad agencies that are way more offensive in a lot of their marketing than this movie is. This kind of sexist attitudes, I'm using their words, not mine, have been permeating print ads, commercials. Gosh, be offended. Remember those Carl's Jr. commercials not too long ago? There are real fights to have, people, and this is definitely not one of them. This movie is not offensive in any way, shape, or form.
I think someone I knew had a theory when it came to that there's like a really large female fan base for like manga more so than American comics. And they said that one of the things about them is like, as particularly even like action comics, like more shonen stuff that have female leads. Like, I forget who said it. I wish I could credit her right now, but one of my friends said that, like, it makes sense that like little girls would be into this because all the female leads look way more soft and cute and like unthreatening than American like comic chicks.
Which is Battle Angel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Battle Angel is it's a seinen manga if I remember correctly, but when it comes to manga, they have something for everybody.
Yeah.
And there are actually a lot of female mangaka. Like there's a whole category of shoujo and josei manga that are specifically
targeted to girls.
Targeted towards women, yeah. And Rumiko Takahashi is one of my favorite of all time, and she was recently given this big award, this big prestigious award.
That's the Inuyasha creator, right?
Yeah, Inuyasha and
Ranma
One Half. Yeah. So, yeah, female demographic. There have been many female manga creators, but also a lot of manga fans, and it's not anything that we really pay attention to. It's just we love comics.
Well, even as far as the
more
sexism
of an American division
in the art form, wasn't Sailor Moon was created by a female, right?
Yeah.
And my gosh, because I was kind of following that whole trajectory from start to that thing just took off. She is so freaking rich, man. Like that Sailor Moon stuff. I mean, it took off.
Yeah.
And like, why aren't they celebrating these things? Why aren't they celebrating the successes of these women instead of like they're saying they're being marginalized or they're being put down in society, and like Brie Larson, to tie it back into Brie Larson and this Captain Marvel stuff, is that somehow we need to overcompensate, or that we need to somehow give them a helping hand up, like we need to patronize the females and the marginalized in the world. Well, I don't think the world is marginalizing anybody. I just think if you create a good story, if you create good characters, I think people will come. People will support that, whether you're male, female, whether you're black, Asian, white, whatever religion you are. I don't think people, other than these people,
Sure.
The left, I don't think they look at your nationality, you being marginalized, or your sexuality or anything first. I think most people just judge things. Oh, that was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They look at the trailer and they go, "Wow, that looks interesting." Or they look
don't
at
care
your
who's
comic
behind
book.
it.
Yeah, and they don't go, "You know what? Black and white. Oh, that has a strong female character written by a strong female. Let's support that." Although we do, and you should support the book.
It's in demand right now.
But you know what I'm saying? Like who are these people? Like, you're looking for a reason, like to support something, whether you even maybe like it or not.
Just like it.
Yeah, just like it. Life doesn't have to be that complicated.
And you don't have to find justifications for something being good. If it's good and it wasn't written by a woman, you don't have to be like, this would be better if it's good, it's good. And do you guys think that this is more of just like a solely American thing going on right now?
It seems that way.
Because like you were saying, in Japan, that's really not a thing.
They think it's silly, actually. Quite a few of them think it's silly.
Well, there's Canada and parts of Europe that are being divided this way too.
Yeah. That whole Sailor Moon craze that you just reminded me of, because that was like the big anime craze when I was a kid. And I remember when I went to college, they did those stupid get to know you things when me and these other girls were talking, and they had said like, share an embarrassing story. And the one girl said, when I was little, my mom made me a Sailor Moon outfit, and I'd go play in the front yard in it. And then it was really quiet, and like one girl's like, that's really cool. And I was like, it is really cool. And she's like, yeah, I know, it is cool.
It is cool, yeah.
It was like it was universally liked by every girl in that class.
Yeah. I saw a documentary on it. I can't believe how quickly that thing succeeded. And that woman that created it, unlike sometimes when you create for Marvel and DC, you get a small percentage of that woman got rich. Because I remember having conversations with Lin Wein when it was, talking about Wolverine and Marvel or the new X-Men, these characters that he had a direct hand in creating, and how little he was actually compensated for that.
Yes.
And then you have something like Sailor Moon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, like, she retained rights. She made a bunch of money off of it. And
What's funny too is there's like that show gets a lot of credit for like LGBT representation, but the creator, and I don't remember her name,
Naoko Takeuchi.
she's not like an SJW, and it's really funny because there was this whole article where somebody was interviewing her because there's a lesbian character in it, and they're like, "Did you do that to make a statement?" She's like, "No, my editor said he liked lesbians. That was the only reason that character existed." And it's like, I don't think she really thinks of things on that deep of a level.
Yeah,
like,
that's
she doesn't have motives.
Those are my favorite things. Like I remember John Lennon was interviewed, and it's like, what did you mean when you said this or whatever? You know, like they're reading this deeper meaning into some kind of lyrical passage that he wrote, and bringing all this, you know, this deepness to it, and he just like, the words just sounded good together. Like he just liked the wordplay. You know, and
sometimes that's all it takes.
If you think about poetry, like good poetry and lyrics, it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it is really just words that sound good together. And so sometimes this stuff isn't, it's not a deeper issue. It's not like, you know, when my wife and I created Black and White, that there was any like, ooh, we need more representation. We were a couple, you know, we liked the Green Hornet and Kato dynamic. And so she wrote from her strengths, which was a female, and I wrote from my strengths, which was a male. So they had different points of view, and then the whole Black and White is just like, there's some kind of middle ground that the two characters find. And so I thought that was always good, but it's not like they're always going to be fighting, you know, about dominance and this, that, and the other thing. It's just kind of an aside. It just kind of is because of that dynamic that we threw in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's... I clearly don't understand what's happening today.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you said that because for Battleman and Knucklebomb, I actually wanted to have some female input into the character because I didn't want it to seem like, you know, there's some insight that you know, I mean, despite what people might say, there is a difference between male and female.
Yes,
and,
there is.
Yeah, I wanted to get some female input on Battleman and Knucklebomb as I was creating her, as I was writing her. And so I consulted some of my friends and asked them, what do you think about this? And
your female friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they gave me input, and for the most part, they all really like the character. And so that's why I have Knucklebomb, and I have confidence that it's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, it's a great looking book. It's a great concept, and the thing is, this is where we have to get over this aspect as far as creators. You do not have to have a strong woman to write a strong woman. You don't have to have a strong male to write a strong male. You don't have to be Black to write the Black experience. If you have a level of depth, you know, to your character and fairness, and willing to do the research, and you can empathize. If you can empathize, then you can empathize. You can write a turtle. You know what I mean? You can write a caricature,
or four of them.
Yeah, or four of them. Yeah, you can write. Yeah, you can write anything because you can empathize with even imaginary beings that don't exist. You know, you know, Disney, the three pigs, you know, like these are animal characters, but they can find some kind of humanity to them, and then they can connect you to these characters. And that's what's really lacking right now is instead of like, we need this person to write this, you know, like compartmentalize
designated
everything.
roles.
It doesn't matter, because also what's better than, like, if you can have a point of view and then okay, this is my point of view, but then do some research, or then empathize into the other character's point of view, and then be able to bring that into the story. It's just it's kind of crazy. I don't clearly understand what's going on. Do you?
Well, I think you made a valid point, because the reason you write from a human experience is because there's no telling who your audience is going to be. Your audience could be male, female, they could be any race. So they're going to relate to you on the basis level of the human experience and things being genuine, not being tailored towards certain, you know.
Right, and those are the things that we should focus on, the universal things. So what Alita's going through in the story is things that when we were all coming of age could relate to.
Oh,
you
man.
know, daddy issues, you know, abandonment issues, whatever it is. But there's these universal themes that are going on in the story. So you can connect to them, whether you're male, female, or everything in between.
There's a hilarious
Whatever
part
that
in
is.
this article that I really need to read.
Well,
It says, first of all, it's really weird.
Is it the
'cause-
parting shot?
well, this isn't a vlog, but this writer keeps writing from their point of view, which is really weird to give like a review of this specifically. I don't know, it's really strange. So she says, I am all too familiar with male creators trying to distract me from their sexism with throwaway lines like I'm with her from the new trailer spoken by by her male love interest. She is still created by and for men. Her father figure who rescues her from rubble, her love interest who mansplains the dangers of street life, and the men in the audience of the movie theater. Okay, so it's like he mansplains it. She doesn't remember any, like if you watch the movie, it's weird. She has no knowledge of anything. So you could say everybody's mansplaining things to her because she literally doesn't even know what chocolate is.
But it's not specifically mansplaining,
No.
it's just explaining.
That's hilarious.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
like,
not...
You're mansplaining me the danger of street life.
Well, what is Is mansplaining just anytime a man explains something to a female? Is that mansplaining? Or is it like you have to do it in a masculine... Like, what is the definition of that?
I can't keep up with their definitions.
I don't know. I think it's evolved since it used to be a specific instance, and now it's just if a guy explains anything to a girl, then
He's
I guess
condescending.
Then I guess it's
Yeah.
mansplaining.
Yeah, he's condescending to her because...
I don't know what the original definition was, but I know it's evolved.
She's basically a newborn in the story at the very beginning of the story, but she has memory, so she has language. She understands how basic life works, but she doesn't really know how that world works because she's never been there.
Yeah.
And she doesn't quite understand the dynamics that she's thrown in. So there is a learning curve for her. But also, from a storytelling point of view, this is what you want, because then through her eyes, we can introduce the world.
Yeah, because the
right?
audience
We can-
doesn't know.
Yeah, the audience doesn't, so they learn at the same time she does. That
Right.
scene I was explaining, when she goes out literally on the street, is when all of this stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the world is introduced to her. And it's literally introduced. I love it when you're writing, because sometimes you think of like such crazy ways to explain it. And a lot of times the best way is just being direct, right?
Yeah.
She literally just walks out on the street and learns about the world, about the people in the world, and all those things.
Yeah.
She literally does what it is. And it's amazing. It's really so clear and so concise. It works so well. And yeah, this is nuts. Should we wrap this up and then move on to the other side of this argument?
There's one last thing that I do want to read in here because I think it's really funny. Besides that, it says, both men love dirty, fighting women as long as they're thin and hot. In the case of Alita's unearthly thin with unreasonably big eyes, with her inhuman proportions, she's everything both men like in a woman. That's really presumptuous.
That's not true, by the way. Okay.
That's not most
just
guys'
because
type.
okay, this is a woman take, because women like to think if you're thin, you're more attractive. That's not always the truth. There's some really ugly, skinny women out there. Let's just be clear.
As Adam Carolla says, just because you're blonde and not fat doesn't mean you're hot.
Yeah, you're hot. Yeah, that's true.
All right, male filmmakers like Rodriguez and Cameron create strong women based on the type of characters they'd like to F. That's not feminist. I don't know. James Cameron's wife doesn't look like Alita. Like, the chicks that he picked look pretty normal.
Yeah.
I don't think his type...
and he's not even, like, supermodel. Like, he's not,
he
marrying...
he picks normal-looking chicks, so I don't even think that's true. And Robert Rodriguez, if you watch Sin City, none of those chicks look like an Alita type, but whatever. Okay, so...
But some of them are very hot.
If so many guys like skinny waists with huge eyes, then how come so many people like Audrey Plaza? Anyway... Okay, so this is the latest news involving the, and I'll read your guys' stuff, but this is the latest news because when we last left off on this chapter, in our last Battle Angel Alita video, we talked about how the movie was kind of in a little bit of danger, but this new article...
And then just to back up too, if anybody's coming in a little late, the main reason we're calling it a versus, but we just kind of wanted to bring some controversy and get Keung Lee in here and see where he sides up on everything.
As a creator of a strong female character.
Who isn't a woman, and basically shed some light on this movie and to encourage everybody to go out and see this movie. I've never felt this strongly about encouraging people to go out and see a movie, but I want this to do well, and I want there to be a follow-up to this because there's definitely a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of this movie.
Yeah. Rhaegar says Catherine Bigelow is more of James Cameron's type. Yeah. Look how sexualized she is in her t-shirt.
in her baseball jersey.
You'll see her on a Sports Illustrated cover pretty soon.
On the beach.
Yep.
Box office. Alita Battle Angel scores needed win with 62 million China debut. The James Cameron produced tentpole is still in danger of becoming this year's first big budget miss. Alita Battle Angel secured a key victory with a China debut of 62.3 million. The best showing ever in that market for 20th Century Fox.
Better than Spider-Man.
Really?
Oh, no. 20th Century Fox is X-Men. Yeah.
That's still, still a victory. Nevertheless, the big budgeted cyberpunk adventure, a passion project for James Cameron that was directed by Robert Rodriguez, isn't out of danger financially after costing a net of $170 million to produce before marketing. China's performance is certainly good news. Alita is pacing 8% ahead of the 2018 Ready Player One, which topped out at $216 million in the Middle Kingdom. One hitch: Alita will face competition in the coming days from How to Train Your Dragon and The Hidden World, and then Captain Marvel.
Boo.
So it's natural.
Yeah.
So it's naturally going to kind of fall in competition with Captain Marvel, and that's not the only thing that's falling in competition with Captain Marvel.
Well, that's what we wanted to bring up in the verses, is that we have Alita Battle Angel, and where it doesn't seem like the marketplace, the news outlets and stuff are really supporting this movie, which boggles my mind because it has all the pieces of a Terminator, of anything else that Hollywood has backed and thought was an amazing bit of theatrical goodness. But they seemingly are going the opposite on this movie and trying to bring into it that it's sexist and that it has an agenda, which it really does not. There's more diversity, just matter-of-fact diversity and good stuff going for it than I've seen in a long time. But it doesn't focus on it. It doesn't make a point of it. It's just matter of fact. It just happens. There's a diverse cast of players in the movie, and they just are. They're just people. They're just people doing things. Some of them are doing good things. Some of them are doing bad things. But then on the flip side, we have Captain Marvel, which seemingly is trumpeted by the media, and they're saying what a milestone and how brave the females that are working on it, and Brie Larson is what do they call it, virtue signaling like crazy, and at the point of ostracizing men. Did you hear this, you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Like in the press, like to give preferred treatment to females or marginalized people. That she's going to do interviews with them versus men, specifically white males. I think she did single them out, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
White males, but no one says that this is hate speech. No one says that this isn't inclusive. It's the very definition of not being inclusive. She's closing off to a group of people just based on her own bias. It's not even fact. And so I do think it's interesting, and I don't know, maybe in the chat, and maybe we can talk about it. Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think one is being supported by the media and one is not?
I don't know, but I really wish that, like, if they had some kind of marginalized person screening, I was allowed in, so I could be like, you think you're better than me? And just see what they had to say. Like, no, then why am I in the marginalized person screening? No, and just,
Shouldn't I be with those guys over there that aren't marginalized?
I'm just coming from a place of privilege. Oh, okay. So you do think you're better. Start a whole fight.
Doesn't Brie Larson think that she denounced? She said that she is coming from privilege, doesn't she?
I think so.
And she's using her privilege as a way to lift other people, right?
Well, we have. Brie Larson says, playing Captain Marvel is my form of activism.
Oh, brother.
Segueing right into that, actress Brie Larson claimed that her upcoming role as a superhero, Captain Marvel, amounts to her own form of political activism, while also pledging to help more women and racial minorities break into the film industry. In an interview with InStyle, the 29-year-old reflected on playing Carol Danvers, dubbed Marvel's ultimate feminist icon, a role for which she will reportedly earn $15 million, with the possibility of multiple sequels.
What? 15?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about her payday.
Yeah.
Is that because of the Oscar? Wow.
This is what she says of the character. She didn't I can't do Brie Larson's voice, but I'll try to get her cadence.
Do it.
She didn't apologize for herself, Brie Larson says of her character. I felt like that was a really valuable trait because she is incredibly flawed and makes a lot of mistakes and has to atone for them. And that is super valuable. She is not ever shrinking herself down. By the way, you're not shrinking yourself down if you apologize for making a mistake, but whatever. The movie was the biggest and best opportunity I could ever have asked for, she continued. It was like...
So she went into this thing, taking this job as a political platform for herself.
Yes, which she's admitting here. It was like my superpower. This could be my form of activism. Doing a film that can play all over the world and be in more places that I can be physically.
Let's not forget there's a Wonder Woman movie that came out before this. But anyway, this
is the exact problem that we're having with the comic books. Is we have these editors and writers who are putting their voices into the characters. Now we have an actor putting her voice into the character in the movie.
Very well said.
Instead of acting.
Yes. And how is that going to resonate? How's that going to connect with the average person? It's not. It's only going to connect with, pardon my French, a wackadoo like her.
But she's better than us because she can play a cowgirl. During the... Like, that's another thing. Like, they're just actors. Why are we valuing them so much? Like, they're some kind of, like, intellectual with world experience. You know what I mean?
At best, they're kind of like a sociopath, right? That they can actually pretend to be somebody else and be two-faced.
I can pretend to be an alien, so you should listen to what I have to say. During the interview, the Room star also pledged to help more women and people of color enter the film industry, having also gender and racial parity in the press and wearing mostly female designs during the film's global press tour. She should buy some of our books since some females worked on it and support us. Inclusion has to be a choice. It's not happening naturally. Maybe that's your fault. You really have to fight for it. She said, my next goal is to start a school to train people in various jobs on set. There are so many great jobs. You like weird alien blasters? You could be one of the one who makes them. In real life?
And how is she going to train you to do that? What is she like? She's an artist and she's got photos, or what is this? All these like digital like knowledge and understands how to make this stuff, this digital animation work. I don't think so, man. You know what? I'll tell you, this is how people accept, because what does she say? She says that they need to lift people up or whatever. You know how people make their mark? They just connect with other people. They just connect based on that they're cool people, or that they have something to offer somebody else, their skill set, whatever it is. And then people get to decide whether they accept them or not based on that they're a person. So if a woman, this is I'll just talk from a comic book point of view. They say sexism and women, there's this conspiracy thing that's going on, like, oh, women aren't accepted in comic books as a general rule. And the thing is, it just is not true. It is not true. At least half of the editors that I've worked with in my 35 years have been female. Okay, so that's out the window right there. And also, the thing is, I've seen this. When I broke into business, I had no idea, because there was no internet. most everybody worked in some other place other than where I lived.
Yeah.
There was no, in Southern California when I started, there was no comic book industry here at all. There is now since Image, but there wasn't then. So I didn't hang out with anybody. I didn't get to do, YouTube chats with anybody. There was none of that existed. So we didn't know what each other looked like. We didn't know anything about the other. So at best, we would talk to each other on the phone, or we knew each other based on the work. And if we were fortunate enough, we might meet some of these people at conventions, or like I would go to New York City maybe 2-3 times a year just to connect with editors and things like that. That's the only time you get to meet people. So a lot of times, women have male names. You know what I mean? So even there, you didn't automatically go, oh, that's a man or that's a woman.
Right.
Kelly, there's a Shannon, there's a lot of different names.
Unisex.
And also there's Lee, which is sometimes an Asian last name and sometimes it's not. You know what I mean? So you can't automatically make these distinctions based on even names. So if that existed, then, well, it didn't exist. But just to go back a little bit, is that also, this is the way I look at it, is if you're hiring, right, you want the best artist to do your Superman book or your comic, whatever it is. And so there's 3 people, so you don't know anything about them. You're going to hire them based on the best person that can get you the best quality on that line of books that you're working on. You're just going to hire the best. You're not going to necessarily hire one because you're diversity hiring. You're not just going to go, well, we need to hire, blacks, or we need to hire females, or we need to hire whatever. You're just going to hire the best person.
No, you're looking for equality of opportunity. You're looking for based on merit.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so based on merit alone, that's how you would hire, and that's how it's always been done, because they don't want to lose money. I mean, Marvel's politics aside, that's more last couple years. But up to that point, it really was the best person for the job. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you could get along with the editors, if you were temperamental or you were hard to get along with, well, they didn't work with you.
Unless you were really, really good.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There's the exception. Yeah, if you're really, really good, they'll deal with your BS, and a lot of times they have. So I've never seen this kind of division that a lot of people are telling you is happening now. I've never experienced it before. Case in point too, ever since I started working at DC, the president, Jeanette Kahn, there's always been a female that was at the top of the food chain of the publishing companies. Editors-in-chief, were male, but the presidents, the people above that, were female. And even at DC now, it's still the same. There's still a female that's there. So yeah, I don't understand where all this is coming from. Should we try to figure out if we can wrap this up? We still have the Zachary.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with one final article. Aaron says there's no such thing as equality of opportunity. I think the thing is, it's naturally, when it comes to entertainment workplaces, there's naturally going to be a division, because you're never going to have you're never going to have an exact equal number of types of people. So if it's a demographic that's mostly male appealed, there's naturally going to be more men who want to work there, and vice versa.
There's more female nurses, there's more female flight attendants, or there's certain jobs, there's probably, I don't know this for sure, but there's probably more female veterinarians, because almost every little girl wants to help animals. I think my daughter included, my sisters, they all wanted to be veterinarians at some point. So yeah, there are specific job descriptions that fit certain tastes, and males and female, they're wired differently. Yeah.
So it's just naturally going to happen. Let's see, we have a final thing here for everybody that's talking smack about Brie Larson.
Is Zachary virtue signaling here?
So Zachary Levi, I guess, wanted to be more relevant in virtue signal, and he's I guess he's asking fans to stop pitting Captain Marvel against Shazam. There is no competition.
Leave that poor girl alone.
Way to kill your momentum, man.
With Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel hitting theaters on March 8th, and the Warner Brothers picture Shazam in theaters on April 5th, fans already seem to be trying to pit the two superheroes against each other. But Shazam actor Zachary Levi isn't putting up with the fan instigated rivalry.
Wait, can I back up? You talk about stealing somebody's identity. What did Marvel do? Marvel stole Captain Marvel from Shazam.
And also stole Captain Marvel from I forget the first name, but Rambo, the original.
Yeah, the original Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was African American.
I think of Monica.
Monica, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
A POC, as the left likes to call them for some reason, which seems very dehumanizing, by the way. Anyway, okay, but Shazam actor Zachary Levi isn't putting up with the fan-instigated rivalry. In an Instagram live video posted on Sunday, Levi called out fans for posting fake reviews and made-up posts about Captain Marvel star Brie Larson.
Wait a minute, that might be us.
And asked fans to stop trying to fan the flames of competition between Marvel and Shazam.
He's pointing his finger at you right now, Taylor.
You know what? I don't like him anyway. He didn't let me into his party. Let's see. There are people out there making...
Was that in San Diego?
Yes. I think I talked about one of the videos, but he had a party at the Tin Fish in San Diego, and I left, and I left to get something for my friends and came back and they wouldn't let me back into the party, so I just stared through the window the whole time until I was forced to leave because nobody would answer their phones because they were all enjoying the stupid Zachary Levi party. Anyway, there are people out there making defamatory and completely fictitious reviews and posts of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. Why don't you worry about your own movie? And trying to pitch Shazam against it, saying they're going to support us and not them because of things they are making up. Levi said in the video.
We're not making anything up. Brie Larson has said these things.
For anyone out there who thinks you're doing me a favor or you're doing Shazam a favor, you're not. Fine, I won't see your movie. Levi continued. This is not helping anyone or anything. There is no competition.
Well, wait, to back up. I mean, First Blood was drawn by Brie Larson, right? So she's the one that started the battle.
Well, no, he's talking about fans just pitting them in competition against each other, which is only natural.
I know, but didn't she... Well, isn't he talking... Well, which is he talking about? Just the natural connection between the two characters?
He's yelling at the fans to stop it.
But I haven't even heard any of these arguments that he's referencing. The only ones that I've heard is just that, the Brie Larson thing. So what is he even referring to?
I think just because there's multiple videos comparing the two movies, and everybody's kind of talking which one they'd rather see.
I haven't heard any of these things.
Well, I've seen comparisons of how the what is it called? The projected
worth,
sales, for Captain Marvel keeps plummeting, while Shazam's is pretty high up there. And so if he had kept his mouth shut, they would have probably done really, really well. But now,
you mean if she kept her mouth shut or he?
He,
okay.
Because. I mean, telling fans to
not support him.
Marvel versus DC. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, why would you tell them to not support you? Whatever. It's really weird. Levi also brings up the confusion fans might have over the fact Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel when the superhero character was introduced back in 1950, first by Fawcett Publishing, then by DC. And then this is he craps on his own point. Just because Shazam used to be called Captain Marvel way back in the day doesn't mean that somehow Brie or Marvel's Captain Marvel is pitted against us. We're both movies, we're both going out at the same time, and they both have similar names. Yeah, that's why they're being compared, stupid. This is the exact reason.
But wait, and they're not competing against each other?
Yeah, they are naturally competing. If two horror movies are coming out at the same time to the same demographic with similar names, it would naturally happen.
I know we all want to get along, but why do we have to change? They are competing against each other.
Yeah, they are.
It's a fact.
Whether you like it or not, it's true. For more details about the Shazam movie, including the character's comic book history, nobody has time for that. Check out
how Marvel stole the name.
So, they're coming out. Of course, Shazam hits theaters April 5th in the US and the UK. An Australian release has not yet been announced, and Captain Marvel comes out on Women's Day, March 8th.
So is that a good marketing on Women's Day, International Women's Day?
I think so.
Okay.
They gotta apply, like, I don't know, casuals love stuff like that. Just like if they put out Black Panther during, like, Black History Month, they would be like, I'm a good person for supporting this on this day. You know, the normies love that stuff. Mark says, I don't think Zach has any understanding of what geeky fans do in their spare time. They have done this for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marvel DC thing has been since I was a kid, you know,
Yeah,
the two rival companies, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's I think it's just a natural thing, and you can't just request people not to do it. That's really weird. John says,
but he is, nonetheless.
Yeah, he is.
Because, you know, he's got to step up for poor Brie Larson and her movie.
He's got to protect her because
he's got a white knight.
Yeah,
because nobody
you
likes
should see
her.
the face that Keung just made. He's got a white knight her, and he just looks off.
He's got a white knight because she's not likable and acts like a jerk in the press.
I'm surprised she's not yelling at him right now for
Don't speak for me.
Yeah, exactly.
How dare you? How dare you? I can speak up and defend myself.
Raycard says, actually, Captain Marvel comes out on a communist holiday.
Red fever, catch it.
Aaron says, I only see this attitude from artists and actors. I only see this attitude from artists and actors. I'm an artist. I treat my work just as a regular plumbing job. It doesn't make me any better than the guy who is dragging power lines through a snowstorm.
Trust me, it does. You are better. And so am I. I'm just kidding.
Mark says, how dare you people criticize Brie, the bully Larson?
Well, okay, let's just back up, okay? I just want to... Do you think most of the stuff that's being directed at Captain Marvel is because, one, it was a bad trailer? Like, she was not emoting. She kind of looked like she didn't even want to be in the movie.
Right.
And then, on top of that, some of the things that she's been talking about in the press about, you know, being more inclusive, at the same time not being inclusive. Do you think a lot of this is being, or a lot of this venom is being, you know, spewed in her direction and the movie's direction because of her? Or is it just because it's Captain Marvel and it's a Marvel DC rival? I mean, I'm talking about, you know, now the Captain Marvel.
The thing is, like, I feel like if all of this could have been avoided if they pick someone super... Because I think you're right. I think it's kind of coming down how people feel about Brie Larson and her PR. Because, like, the trailer cut wasn't that good. But if they had picked someone super likable, I think people would have embraced it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What are your thoughts?
Well, personally, I didn't know who Brie Larson was when the first trailer came out. So I just watched the first trailer just purely as a comic book fan. And there was absolutely nothing about that trailer that made me want to watch the movie. And looking at this character, she seems very, very uninteresting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, she herself doesn't look like she's invested in the role. I mean, she looks bored, quite frankly,
right,
to be there. And it's like, okay, so are we supposed to be relating to this character? Because I'm not relating. There's absolutely nothing here that's likable, or I feel no sympathy. I feel no relation. So why would I want to invest in a movie where the main character is going to be so distant and so detached?
And then correcting Nick Fury, like, what is it, warrior, hero, or whatever.
Yeah.
Hero warrior, or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Okay, male, female, whatever. That's a trait that no one likes.
Yes.
Is when you correct them. Nobody likes that.
Especially in a snappy tone like that. Nobody's going to be into that.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of reviews where they're just saying that their biggest fear is that she's just going to be a Mary Sue character.
Mm-hmm.
That everything is going to be unearned. Everything is going to be granted to her. And then if you look at the trailer and you kind of understand some of those ideas, and then you see the way she treats Nick Fury, or that she goes through the trailer, it just amplifies the fact that she's unlikable.
And to carry on, and you should refer back to another point that was brought up in one of the articles. where Taylor mentioned that, you know, she doesn't want to be apologetic. They find that as a form of weakness.
Yes.
Well, if that's what they see as a form of weakness, I can only imagine what kind of character vulnerabilities this Captain Marvel will have. Probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you don't have to be overly apologetic, you know. But when you apologize and you've done something wrong, what else is there to do, right?
Yeah.
If you really do something
gracious.
wrong,
You should.
You should apologize. And if that person that you're apologizing to looks at it as you're weak, then that's on them. But it's not by just the definition
Yes.
a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
It just means that you did wrong and that you're trying to atone for it.
Yeah, just overall, the sensation that I get from seeing both of the trailers, and once again, before I even knew who Brie Larson was, just seems like they're overly, what's the word I'm looking for? Just
Combative.
I don't know if combative is really, like, just the way, like, Nick Fury, do you know how to fly this thing? That's a yes or no answer. And she's like, yes. It's like, oh, so she can pilot this ship. And it's certainly coming out like a Mary Sue character.
Like Rey, you know, in you know, the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, whereas she's succeeding in everything that she applies herself to. But at the same time, somebody made a joke that she keeps falling in the trailer. And I'm like, so is walking the one thing that she hasn't mastered?
But she's a strong character because she gets up.
And I think if you had like an actress that was a little bit more warm and it's really hard when an actor doesn't have chemistry with Sam Jackson. That's not a good sign.
No.
But it's weird because that scene you're talking about too, she's supposed to not have any memory, and he's like, "Can you fly this?" And then she just assuredly goes, "Yes." But imagine if it was an actress that actually like had some chops and was like, yes," and like did it and kind of made like a, ooh, like I did it kind of face. Like you could play that scene
to where it's likable, yeah.
And it's a little more human, but
well, you know, like the Gal Gadot stuff and the way she played Wonder Woman, and that it was directed by Patty Jenkins, but it was just matter-of-factly done. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like DC and Warner Brothers was putting out tons of press release and saying a strong woman, whatever, you know, is directing Wonder Woman or any of these things. It was just kind
Marvel
of like...
would have.
It was just kind of like, this is Wonder Woman directed by Patty Jenkins. And then throughout the movie, you see a very compassionate, strong, compassionate character, female character that you could relate to. Mm-hmm. She wants to help everybody. She wants to save everybody. She doesn't discriminate. You know, she loves little babies and she loves, you know, people in combat. She has heart for all the in-between. It's a different character. It's a likable character and a strong character that just happens to be female. You could plug the thing is too, though, this is why you said it, Taylor, where that's Wonder Woman's strengths, because I was going to say you could just plug a guy character into that role, but you really can't, because there's a certain level of compassion that a female can give that doesn't seem weak or that seems more natural or less forced than a guy. And so they played upon those strengths. They were very female strengths. They weren't like they were, you know what I mean? Like she wasn't like, I'm a man competing in a man's world, I'm going to be a man. Mm-hmm. She was still very much a woman. Yeah. You know what I mean? That just happened to be strong and able to do all these great things. And this is one thing. This is why I don't understand the feminist agenda. There's a character named Pepper Potts in the Marvel Universe. And I've always thought that one of the strongest characters that they have is her. Okay. At functionality, everything. Because Tony Stark is a mess, right? He's a mess of a human being. He's a genius, but he's a mess. And somehow she's making all that mess function. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's running Stark Enterprise. They don't even talk about that. She's running a powerful weapons industry, right? Like she's running that single-handed. They never said that she's running it with, like Obadiah was there at the beginning, but she's not partnering. She's running that company. And so that, by the very definition, is a strong female. She stands toe-to-toe with Tony Stark. She puts him in his place. She gets him to see truth. She gets to guide one of the most powerful guys in the Marvel Universe. And at the same time, she is one of the most powerful females in the Marvel Universe. And she's still very female. Yeah. When she dances with him, she go, "Oh my gosh, I'm dancing with my boss with this backless dress." You know what I mean? Right. Like, she's still written as a female.
Right.
And I think I never hear anybody praising that character. I never hear anybody saying anything about that character. And then, on top of that, the reason I know I'm going off a tangent and we should try to wrap it up, but in Iron Man 3, where they give her powers, and then she can save herself when Tony doesn't. And that's when I knew that there was some kind of skew thing. You know, like, we were starting to move things into a different direction with the Marvel Universe, because I thought, one, Tony doesn't save her life?
She would have died.
That's horrible. She really would have died. And if the villain wouldn't have given her that whatever to make her powerful, then she literally would have died. And so then, you know, she saves herself, but in a very superhero way. Not in a very Pepper Potts way.
Yeah, it wasn't because
very superhero way.
It wasn't because of something that she would have normally been able to do.
Right. It wasn't her internal strengths. It wasn't Pepper Potts that saved. It was that she was given this power by the villain.
Right.
And I thought that was a weird signal.
That's why it felt very, very out of left field, is because that's not within her wheelhouse. The competence of that character isn't that she can fly around and blast things. It's the fact that she can take somebody like Tony Stark and keep everything in order and run a mega corporation and be responsible and be that strong person.
Right.
Without superpowers.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but I never hear any of the feminists talk about that character, and I always thought, as far as a female character in the Marvel Universe, she's by far one of the strongest. She doesn't have, you know, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel powers, and we're not being virtue signaled that she is the strongest character in the Marvel Universe. But anybody who can guide Tony Stark has got to be a fairly dynamic, powerful person, and to run one of the largest tech arms companies in the Marvel Universe. They're building what was in Civil War, those the shield carriers and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, you know, she's in charge of that.
I think Marvel in the movies, but predominantly in the comics too, they're doing this really weird inadvertent thing, because it's really funny, like how they're virtue signaling, but at the same time they're inadvertently
crapping on their point.
Well, because like every female character is considered valued because they're like not human. They're always like a super genius or they're super strong, and it's like women aren't immortal, perfect angels to write a good character. Like, you can be a good, valuable person without being a friggin' super genius. Like, you can be a good person without being the most powerful physical person in the Marvel. Like, not everyone's super smart and not everyone's super strong. You can be kind-hearted and be kind of dumb, like, and be a good character. Like, you can have those flaws. Like, Alita wasn't like a super genius.
No, Alita, like,
she had heart. Yeah.
And my knowledge is based off of the books and the anime, but you know, she had a lot of vulnerabilities, and that's something that's very important for heroes, especially heroes. I mean, for us mortal beings, you know, we don't have special superpowers, and so when you have these magnificent mythological fictional characters, you have to give them weaknesses and vulnerabilities in order for us to relate to and become, you know, sympathetic to. And that's something that Mary Sue characters lack. Yeah. And is why we do not find them compelling or interesting.
And that's one thing where I think Marvel, when they reinvented the heroes in the 60s, got it right. Mm-hmm. Because instead of external things like flame or kryptonite or whatever, they went internal. They went, those characters, human Achilles' heels are all human issues. And that becomes way more relatable than, you know, fire or kryptonite or the color yellow or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's always more interesting. And the thing that I think modern feminism is getting wrong, and what saddens me is, you know, I'm all about girl power. I'll trumpet it. I'm fine with it. I don't really have a problem with it. But
I always preferred female protagonists, to be honest.
When they start saying that it's the reason the world is bad because of the male dominance, or that the world sucks because of men, and that men this, men that, and all this stuff. I think it cheapens every woman throughout history that had something to do with our evolution to get to this point. When you start saying it's guy for good or bad, whatever, then you're undercutting every woman that's ever existed that either stood behind a strong man, and we've all been in relationships. We know how badass that can be sometimes, to support the other one. So there's that, and then there's also that they have contributed major things, like externally, not just supported, but have done these other things, like even something as silly as like the Walt Disney story. Remember, he was like Mortimer, and then she's just like, no, call him Mickey.
Yeah, I don't like that name. Call him Mickey.
Yeah, would we be all like, yeah, Mortimer Mouse, like today? You know what I mean? But she had insight to
Morty.
It, right? Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, there's things like that happen in this household.
He listened to her
all the time. There's all these things that happen all the time where, and is that weakness? Is that no? It's not. It's being supportive, and then guiding in a way into these arenas for you to do better, to make things better. It is a joint group effort. Yeah. It's not just one person. And when feminists talk this way, I think they cheapen every woman that's contributed to society to get us to this point. Because I don't know. Every decision I've ever made since I've been in this relationship with my lovely wife, Pamela, has been a joint decision. Yeah. It's never been just like me saying this is how it's going to be. It's always been that. And to be honest, she's pulled me back from some major stupid decisions in the past. So, I'm thankful for all that. I'm glad that dynamic exists. And if a woman wants to lead, I'm all for it. I'll support them. I have no problem with that, as long as it's a good idea and it's for the betterment of mankind.
It'd be interesting, because I'm trying to figure out the demographic of these movies. It'd be interesting to see, to show a little girl the Battle Angel Alita thing, and then show the Captain Marvel and see which one they rather see. Because I feel like most little girls would way rather see the Alita movie. Because I'm just looking at the two of them right now. It's like, if I was a little girl, I think I'd be more interested in the Alita stuff. It looks cooler. But also, there's something to be said, I think, about, approachability. Yeah. And, the way that Captain Marvel looks, I know this seems really biased, because I know in the Captain Marvel video I say I like her old outfit better. But her outfit's really militant looking. Mm-hmm. And, I noticed that, just as an example, a lot of the Marvel female characters look way more militant, and a lot of the DC female characters look more soft, and, the anime characters are like that, of course, anyway. They're usually more femme looking. And, little girls, I guarantee, would be way more into someone like Wonder Woman or Alita than, the current Captain Marvel.
Sure.
Because, little girls love Supergirl. That is, a known fact. And, I think it's kind of comes down to a weird amount of approachability, because a lot of the heroes in Marvel don't look like heroes anymore. They wear black and they wear very militant looking uniforms. Yeah. But if somebody was going to save you, you want them to look comforting and safe.
Approachable.
If Supergirl saved you, she doesn't look mean. She looks very soft. She looks very approachable.
And she could wrap you in that cape. That'd be comfort you.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because DC, back with New 52, remember they started putting on that tactical gear on a lot of those characters, and a lot of fan backlash from that.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, there's something to be said. I'd really be curious to see, because if they seem like they keep trying to appeal to that graphic with all this feminist agenda stuff, so I'm wondering if it would actually bite them in the butt. Because I think most little girls would be way more into Alita.
Well, if anybody's listening out there, somebody should put a documentary together and get a bunch of
reaction.
You know how Brie Larson was generating money for to get girls to go see her movie. You should have a double feature, right? It's generate money to have a double feature and have two...
have them vote.
Yeah, and have them vote. Which movie do you like better?
That would be interesting.
Yeah. All right, guys.
This has been a good one, I think.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Uh-oh.
Let us
Are
know.
you worried? Are you getting something?
Oh no, just responding to something real quick.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think and where you fall in line between the verses of Alita and Captain Marvel, because we do read the comments after the stream has been done airing live. Of course, we always want to hear your opinion.
Yes, definitely. And if you guys haven't gone out and checked out Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb, you should go check it out. It's up on Indiegogo right now. It's in the store. And where are you at? You're at 34?
Yeah, I think we just passed 34 not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, over 900 backers. So I'm gonna be shipping out a lot of books, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and you're penciling every day, right? Trying to get that thing done. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We took you away from your penciling to come help us with our camera today.
Yes. It's a great looking book, and I think Black and White, we're like $11 away from 55K.
Yes, we are extremely close. I think exactly $11. And of course, Black and White is available in demand on Indiegogo, and in the campaign on In Demand, you can get a copy of Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. Art's first art book. It's a hardcover, large size, 52-page art book, and you can get that in demand right now.
Yes. So thanks Keung Lee for showing up.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, thanks for helping out with the computer. And go out and support these books, and have a great day.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss one of our wacky live streams.
Never ever.